this video, we are going to talk about multiplying by two-digit numbers. So, for example, we are going to start with 12 times 30. Please write in your notebooks 12 times 30. I know we did this one in class, but I want to review it. So there's two methods as we learn. Method 1, 12 times 30. We're only allowed to break apart the 30 because it is a multiple of 10. Never break apart a number unless it is a multiple of 10. So 30 can be broken into, as you see here, 30 is 3 times 10. So first we're going to multiply 12 times 3, which is 36, and then times 10 we know is 360. 36 tens is 360. So now method 2. This is a new method, 12 times 30 the long way. So 12 times 30, because we know 12 times 3 is 36, it is not just 36, it's 12 times 30, which is by multiplying by 10. So we need to push the 36 to the left so that we can add a 1. We could add a 0 in the ones place. So it becomes 360 because it's really 12 times 3 we learned is 36. Tens, which is 36 times 10, which is 360. So the shortcut is if we have a 0 in the ones place, you can immediately put a 0 in the ones place there. Let me just erase so you can see. Then, because the 3 is in the tens place, you start multiplying by 3 times 2, which is 6, and the 6 must be in the tens place because you're multiplying 3 times 2. You're starting in the tens place. Then you multiply 3 times 1, and you get 360. Let's move on to the next example. Do this one in your notebook, 60 times 20. 60 times 20, again, we can break apart one of these. So we'll break apart, so we'll have 60 times 2 times 10. And then underneath the 60 times 2, we know is 120. And then 120 times 10, we know is 1,200. There's a 0 in the 120. There's a 0 in the 10. You can just tack on 2 zeros. You are allowed to count the number 0 since we know the process behind it. You're allowed to count the number zeros in both factors total, and that gives you the 2 zeros in our answer for 1,200. Method 2. Let's try that method 2, 60 times 20. So first we look in the ones place. Well, if the ones has a 0, immediately put a 0 in the ones place because there's 0 in the ones place. Then you're going to move over to the tens place, and then you start multiplying like you normally would. 2 times 0 is this 0 over here at the bottom. Then 2 times 6 is 12, and we'll get 1,200. Let's keep going. Multiplying a two-digit number by a two-digit number. So the reason I showed you that prior was to show you when you start multiplying in the ones place, you need to start your first multiplication activity in the ones place. If you're starting in the tens place, you have to start in the tens place, so you put a 0 in the ones place. So now I want you to write down 63 times 28. So step 1. You will multiply the 63 by 8 or by 8 ones. So as if the 2 didn't exist. You do 63 times 8. So as you see, 3 times 8 is 24. Carry the 2. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 2 is 50. I would then cross out the 2 because you used it already so we don't get confused. Now let's do, sorry, the crossing out isn't so great. Now let's do 63 times 2 tens. So that's the 2 that we're referring to. So now we go to the second line because there's a second number. Because the 2 is in the tens place, we must put a 0 in the ones place because it's like multiplying by 20. You have to put the 0 there to represent that 0 ones. Now we can do 2 times 3 is 6. Then we could do 2 times 6 is 12. Make sure you line up the digits perfectly and meticulously, and then you add going down, and you'll get 1,764. Second step is going to be asking you to check. You're going to estimate the value of 63 and 28. Well, we know how to estimate. We're going to estimate to the largest place. They're both out to the tens place. So 63 rounds to 60 and 28 rounds to 30. And we know 60 times 30 is 1,800. And so our estimate shows that the answer 1,764 is reasonable. The reason we must know it is reasonable or it makes sense is because let's say we multiplied and we did something wrong and we got 175, or we got 1,064, we did something wrong. We will do our check by estimating to see if we are close enough. And if we were to round our actual answer, it would round to 1,800. We want to be sure we are very, very close. Let's do another one in our notebooks. 97 times 53. Step 1. We are going to multiply 97 by 3 ones. Sorry, that's supposed to be a 3. So we're going to do 7 times 3 is 21. Carry the 2. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 2 is 29. It's really squashy here. So we got 291. Now we have to multiply 97 by 5 tens because the 5 is in the tens place. So again, don't forget your 0 because that's our placeholder since we're starting in the tens place for the 5. And then you multiply 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3. We should have crossed this one out. 9 times 5 is 45 plus 3 is 48. And then you're going to add, and unfortunately, it's very hard to see, but 9 plus 5 is 14. 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 8 is 11. 1 plus 4 is 5. So your answer for 97 times 53 is 5,141. You want to line up the digits better than I did. It's just harder to write on the computer. And then I want you to estimate this one on your own. Let me just quickly erase this. And then I want you to do the next slide. Sorry, let's get over here. Let's do the next slide. I want you to practice these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in your notebooks. I'd like you to multiply them all the new way we just learned, which is the algorithm way. And then, and for this, you don't have to estimate every single one. If you want to, you can, but I'm making sure you at least know how to estimate. So I want you to estimate numbers 5 and 7. Okay. When I say estimate, it means estimate to check your answer. Don't estimate first. Do not estimate first. Get the actual numbers for everything. Multiply as you see the numbers. But to check to make sure your answer makes sense, I want you to estimate 5 and 7 after you get the actual to see if your estimation is close to the actual. Okay, now let's move on.